What if the United States spoke German? In our own timeline, the 13 colonies were a British colony and most settlers were British. Hence it isn't surprising that the United States that succeeded the 13 colonies spoke English. Nevertheless, besides the British, there were a lot of German immigrants, who became a sizable minority. There is also the so-called Muhlenberg legend. Supposedly just one vote in the House of Representatives prevented German from becoming the official language of the United States, and that vote came from its first speaker Friedrich Muhlenberg, who's a German. That story is nothing but a lie. Such a vote never happened, and English itself is also not an official language. There are two more realistic versions. In one it was only meant for laws to be translated into German, and in the other that vote was just in Pennsylvania alone. The myth I just mentioned was established by the German-American Bund, a German-American Nazi organization. But what if that didn't happen? What if the United States spoke German? In this timeline in 1794 a vote is held whether the United States should speak German or not, and it narrowly passes through and German becomes the official language of the Vereinigten Staaten von America. This process would be gradual, but by the time of the Civil War German has fully replaced English as the language spoken in the United States. With the USA or now the VSA and UK not speaking the same language, relations might be even worse. For example, the War of 1812 might be even more brutal, but the outcome is probably the same as in our own timeline. The Monroe Doctrine by President Jacob Monroe still happens, which angers the European powers. In order to escape its isolation, the United States would improve relations with fellow German-speaking countries, especially Prussia and Austria, with Prussia being seen more favorably by Americans because of their shared Protestant faith. America still manifests its destiny, and the issue of slavery might still become important. The North-South divide is even widened because the South is more reluctant to adopt German compared to the North, where most German migrants settled. When Texas became independent, it was a way for many of those English speakers to get out of that German-speaking country, and they formed their own states in Mexican territory, like the Republic of Texas, the California Republic, the Republic of Rio Grande, and the Sonora Republic. These republics would then eventually unite into the Confederate Republics of America, or CRA. Given that it was formed by slave owners, slavery would persist in the CRA for now. With slave owners leaving, their power dwindles, pushing more to leave and Northerners to replace them. The Civil War doesn't happen in this timeline. In 1862 Prussia and Austria still invade Denmark, and it is possible that the United States also joins to get Alaska. 2 years later Prussia would invade Austria, and the United States remained neutral. Meanwhile the US had partitioned Oregon with the British, and with Prussian help got the San Juan archipelago. In 1870 the Franco-Prussian War still happens, and the German Empire is still formed, with it being cheered on by Washington. The US meanwhile conquer Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines from Spain, and Germany buys its other Pacific islands. The United States would diplomatically support both Germany and Austro-Hungary in the scramble for Africa. While it is unlikely that Germany gets the Congo, they could get Gabon and Ubangi Shari and southern Uganda and Kenya. Austria-Hungary could maybe get southern Somalia or western Sahara, but that one is far more unlikely, and I can't see that one happening. The Moroccan crisis still happens, and Germany does end up leaving Morocco to France for Ubangi Shari. Given that Woodrow Wilson lives in the CRA, it is Champ Clark who wins the Democratic primary of 1912 and becomes President of the United States, following a landslide victory. In 1914 Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand is still shot, beginning the First World War. In this timeline the United States decide to support Germany and Austria-Hungary, which leads to a standoff with the British Navy, who blockaded the Central Powers, and eventually an American ship was sunk by the British. Tensions rise quickly as the United Kingdom doesn't back down, and in summer 1915 American forces cross into Canada. Forces from Washington were quick to capture Vancouver, and Vancouver Island forces in North Dakota and Minnesota also managed to take Winnipeg, and armored units in New Germany pushed the Canadians to the St. Lawrence River. Though they did hold on to the Toronto Triangulate, too eventually fell. With American support, Quebec declared its independence, and by then Canada crumbles and the British are forced to withdraw out of Canada, with Canadian militias fighting a guerrilla war in the north. But while Canada was still fighting, the Confederate republics invaded the United States. They made rapid gains, even reaching the Mississippi River, but their advance quickly stalls. The Confederacy never industrialized and has a much smaller economy and population, and soon thereafter American forces pushed the Confederates out and invaded the Confederacy. By 1916 it too has fallen, bringing an end to the war in North America. But on the other hand, British and Japanese forces captured the Philippines. From there, the United States is unable to substantially help its allies due to the British Navy. In 1917, Russia falls to revolution and the Bolsheviks still sign the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, giving Eastern Europe to the Central Powers. In 1918, the German Spring Offensive ends with the capitulation of France, soon followed by Greece. Italy did not join the Allies, but as it seemed like the United States might enter the war, remained neutral for one more year, only to then join the Central Powers. Being left all alone, the United Kingdom also signs an armistice. In the Treaty of Versailles, Germany expands its border to the Meuse and Moselle River, with Belgium gaining Calais, but becoming a German vassal and losing the Congo. France also loses Morocco, Dahomey, Upper Volta, Madagascar, Indochina, Huangchuan, and New Caledonia to Germany. Italy took Nice, Savoy, Corsica, Tunisia, and Djibouti. France also loses its Caribbean holdings to the United States. In the Treaty of Belgrade, Bulgaria annexes Macedonia, Nice, and Dobruja. The Ottoman Empire annexes the Greek Aegean Islands, including Crete. Italy annexes Vlora and establishes a puppet regime in Albania, and one in Greece. Austria-Hungary annexes the Montenegrin coastline and establishes puppet regimes in Romania, Serbia, and Montenegro. In the Treaty of Boston, the United Kingdom loses most of Canada to the United States, with Quebec gaining independence. The UK makes no more losses. Japan would also make no losses, and the Confederacy would be annexed by the United States. By the end of the conflict, the Central Powers are the dominant powers in the world. In Russia, with help from the Central Powers, the Whites win the Civil War, but would have to make even more concessions, with the Ottoman Empire establishing the mountainous Republic of the Northern Caucasus, and the Ukrainian state keeping Voronezh and Kuban. Russia is fully cut off from the Black Sea and even further humiliated. Furthermore, the Japanese, angry that they got nothing, keep northern Sakhalin and establish a puppet regime in the Far East under Gregory Semyonov. Due to all of these factors and a hyperinflation, it isn't too shocking that fascist Konstantin Radzievsky and his Russian Fascist Party managed to take over Russia and establish a fascist totalitarian dictatorship. 11 years earlier in France, fearing a communist takeover and with rising support for the French Action Party, Charles Maurras was made prime minister, only for him to dissolve democracy and make himself dictator and restore the Orleanist monarchy. In the United Kingdom too, radicalism rises from both the right and the left, and after the 1931 election, where the two biggest parties were the fascists and socialists, King George dissolved the parliament and ruled by decree. He would be assassinated shortly thereafter in 1932 during his Christmas speech. His son Edward then took over and ruled with an iron fist, and aligned himself with Paris and Moscow once more. The Spanish Civil War would be three-sided between the socialists, Phalangists, and monarchists. France, Russia, and the United Kingdom would support the Phalangists, while Germany, Austria, and Italy support the monarchists, and nobody supports the socialists, who quickly crumble. By 1938 it looked like the monarchists are going to win, and so France invaded northern Spain. Germany demanded France to withdraw, which they refused, leading Germany to declare war on them, beginning the Second World War. Unlike in the previous World War, Germany first focuses on Russia. From Ukraine and the mountainous republic, they quickly push Russia out of the south to the Volga River, with the Russians still fighting on in Sarestein. In the north, from Finland and Livonia, Germany managed to encircle Leningrad. But the main attack was in the center towards Moscow, and after 2 months they reached the outskirts of the city. The Battle of Moscow ends in a German victory, and the Russian government flees to Kazan. The war freezes at the Volga River, and with German and Ottoman support, the Turkic people in Central Asia revolt. In winter, the Far Eastern Republic also declares war on Russia and quickly pushes all the way to the Yenisei River. Fearing total collapse, the army overthrew Radzievsky, but this just made things worse and Russia fully collapsed, and what is left of any type of government surrenders. Germany and Japan partition Russia along the Urals. The Far Eastern Republic becomes the Republic of Siberia, and in Russia Germany reestablishes the Tsardom as a puppet under Vladimir III. In Central Asia the Khanate of Turkestan manages to feign independence. In 1939 Germany and Italy crush France, ending the war in continental Europe. France loses even more land to Germany, Belgium and Italy and becomes a German puppet under Infante Jaime, while in Spain the monarchy under Alfonso XIII. Spain also annexes Portugal and Germany takes its colonies in Africa and Asia. France also loses Senegal, Guinea, Côte d'Ivoire and Dahomey to Germany, while the Sahel Federation becomes a German client state and Algeria becomes an Italian colony. Germany would naval invade the United Kingdom and Prince Henry was proclaimed as Henry IX in Australia, bringing an end to the war. The United Kingdom is split into England, Scotland, and Wales, which are German vassals. The Ottoman Empire retakes Cyprus, and Italy takes Somaliland. Egypt becomes a condominium between the two with zones of control along the Nile. Germany takes Gambia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, Nyasaland, Rhodesia and Botswana. South Africa, Lesotho, and Swaziland are turned into the Boer Republic, a German client state. In India anarchy would engulf the subcontinent with many different groups fighting for power or independence, and Germany took Malaya and North Borneo, and the United States took most of the British Caribbean, bearing Belize, Essequibo, and the Falklands. Australia and New Zealand, now united into Australasia, are the last bastion of the former British Empire. A Cold War between Germany and Japan might emerge, but between the two of them Germany is the far greater power and Japan would be unable to challenge the German hegemony over the world. In this timeline Germany and its allies managed to win both world wars, and with the two greatest global powers Germany and the United States speaking German, it would be German and not English that becomes the global language. If you liked the episode, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.